I wonder who you think you are. Do you damn well think you're God or something? God give life, God taketh it away, not you. I think you are the devil itself.
And the Ripper came at his next victim 60 miles away across the Pennines in Manchester. A post-mortem showed that days after the murder, the killer had returned to mutilate Jean Jordan's body still further and drag it to a more open position.
So, the murder of Jean Jordan looks like the location might not have changed much, but it has. Everything's moved around. So I believe. But it's still an area, it's very similar to how it was. This was like a quiet spot for prostitutes to bring people. I think it was more down in this area, but it's now, the cemetery's just got bigger and bigger. I think it's more down there. I can't get down there because of the terrain. We've had lots of floods and stuff, and I can't get through that gate anyway. But I think it was further down here, further down over there where the allotments are. This is Wayside next to the allotments, which is where Jean was found. But I think it's the allotment, the cemetery's got bigger. I think where Jean might have been found more to where the hedge is, the hedgerow. Now, I've been in this cemetery for 2.5 hours trying to find Vera Millward's grave and then Jean. But I'm still looking, but I thought I would come here and do this bit because it's dark. It's a horrible place, isn't it? Apparently, this area, not that I know personally, is still used by prostitutes. So I'll get here before dusk. The blue shed thing that you see, I think, would have been quite a bit further down there, more by the other gate. I could be wrong.
So I'm coming to edit this, and I'm wrong, because if she was found by the hedgerow, which I don't know where I've got that from, probably Richard's book, then the blue shed thing would have been about 200 yards the other way, because the cemetery's gotten bigger, so it would be towards the other way. But I wanted to just make a note of that. Also, as I'm speaking over myself, I will say what I'm saying here. The actor Bruce Jones, who played Les Battersby, found Jean's body, and I'll throw it to him now.
I found Jean Jordan, the most horrific body he'd mutilated. Yeah. I had an allotment with a friend I worked with, and we bought a big second-hand shed. So I decided to get the wheelbarrow, hammer and chisel, waste ground over there, get the bricks for the base of this shed. And I'd rolled my barrow over this girl 5 times. I'd gone over her. As I went back the 6th time, it had all been moved and she was there. And I didn't realise at first it was a body. I thought it was a tailor's dummy that had been, you know, one of these tailor's dummies you see in your life. And I shouted my mate over, and another guy came over with his little Jack Russell. I remember that day as vividly now as it was then. I ran over the road, phoned the police, 999. Within minutes, there was that many police cars there, you wouldn't believe it. I got put into a police van, taken away.
Because it is incredibly traumatic to come across such a scene, isn't it?
It wasn't traumatic. It is. I mean, she had her hair burnt, face smashed in, disemboweled. I had. Can I get a drink?
Sure.
I had nightmares for 12 months. Still do. Still do.
And then when I was looking at Jean, I looked up and there was a face in the bushes. Black beard, black hair. black eyebrow, black eyes.
So did you look at him?
I looked him straight in the eyes, but I didn't take any notice. I was looking at this girl, and
Yes.
you know, your mind's all over the place, and I looked down again, he'd gone. So
Did he clock that you'd seen him?
he must have been watching me.
So he thought you'd gone.
He's got to have been.
He then took Jean's body and placed it out in the open.
Why he did that, I don't know. I don't understand why.
And Peter Sutcliffe was on like the hedges around here, and he'd brought out the body to be found because he wanted these people to be found. He wanted the notoriety of it. I'm trying not to go into the details of the brutality of the murders, but Jean was probably the most brutal. If you're familiar with the case, I'm not going into all the background stuff. I'm going more into the victims, but this is where the £5 led him back to his work. The £5 was a brand new £5 note. You could trace it back to his work, and he came back here, he being Peter Sutcliffe, and was looking for the £5 note. And he mutilated the body, chopped it in bits, and even tried to chop her head off. But his hacksaw was blunt, so he couldn't do it. And the £5 note would have been found eventually by police over in the allotments in her handbag. He just couldn't find it. But he brutalised the body. I think people of my generation think that, like, he hit people over the head with a hammer, and that's it. It was horrendous what happened to Jean and several others. But I'm going to endeavour to find her grave. Southern Cemetery is absolutely ginormous, and I'm really struggling. Like I said, I've been here for a few hours. Hey everyone, I have been in this grave since it opened at 9:30. It is now 2:15. I cannot find Jean's grave anywhere. If it is in Manchester Southern Cemetery, then I be surprised at this stage. It's a ginormous cemetery, but I've walked just shy of 20,000 steps and have failed. I wish I'd just given up 3 hours ago. It's a problem. If you're persistent and it doesn't work out, it's just annoying. But I just can't find it. So I'm gonna have to. I'll use a picture of the grave, and I will just talk now over it. I often walk away from the graves very quickly. This is totally the wrong area. It should be. What was the last 6% there is one hell of a big funeral going on over there. Oh, car's actually blocked in, so I can't leave now. But yeah, let me tell you a bit about Jean. Jean was from Motherwell. She was only 20 years old when she passed away, and where I was showing you was it's really hard on this viewfinder to show you, about 400-500 yards in that direction, quite a long way away. Right, good morning everybody. It is now March, and I have now found Jean Jordan's grave. I haven't been here for 2-3 months, don't worry. I have left and gone home. But Jean Jordan, right. What's strange is, I'll zoom in on the edit, the hedge over there, that's just where she was murdered. And she is just down here. Yeah, I was in this cemetery for about 6-7 hours. I have since learned it's the second biggest cemetery in Europe. She lived with her common law husband Alan Royal, and their 2 children. They lived on the Moss side of Manchester, which was notorious, still is notorious, Moss side. But in the 70s, it was very much known for its being the red light district. I'm not sure if that's still the case, but I am not eager to find out. She met a 26-year-old chef who was unemployed at the time. They moved into his council house in Withenshire, which I think is where Marcus Rashford is from, if I'm not mistaken. They were there for 4.5 years. They had 2 kids called Alan and James. By 1977, when this happened, they had started to grow apart. There's no chance that this is the grave, but I'll kick myself if I don't check. Because it looks a little bit like it. It looks nothing like it. No, and she died in 2006. Why would it be here, Lee? They lived on Linkbeck Crescent. They moved into another council house in Linkbeck Crescent. My Manchester geography is not the best, unfortunately. I'm not too sure where that is, but it's a working class area of Manchester. How dark it is. What time is it? 2:15. I just showed you, didn't I? This camera doesn't like the rain. She would often go absent for days. Both of them would. They'd grown apart by this stage. So Jean would often go back to Glasgow. Alan, her partner, wasn't aware, but Jean was now a prostitute and working in the streets of Manchester. The rain, Manchester rain. On the 1st of October, Alan had gone out drinking, and when he came back, the children were asleep, but Jean wasn't there. He thought she had gone out drinking, and when she didn't come back the next day, she thought she had gone to Scotland. But she had gone to work the Manchester streets. What dates are on these graves? 2006. This is all modern. I have to get going because of this camera doesn't like the rain. 9 p.m. on the 1st of October, Jean was on Princess Street on my side. Princess Street is, let me get my bearings, the street straight ahead of you. So this street, if you did a left at the end, that's Princess Street straight down there. She got into Sutcliffe's car, who, like I said, took her to that far end of the cemetery. Sutcliffe had just moved in to his new house in Bradford with his wife Sonia, and he had been out drinking with Ronnie that night. And as Leeds and Bradford were hot because of the murders, he came to Manchester for the first time. He had roamed the streets of the Manchester red light district a few times by this point. Jean would use a bedsit with Anna Holt, and that's where she would work from. But if the weather was dry, she would use Southern Cemetery. This cemetery, look at that sky. It's certainly grim, isn't it? Like that section of the cemetery I showed you before. Man, it doesn't get. It's just dark, isn't it? It is grim. But that's where she would come to get some money when it was dry. So, not tonight. Alan never reported Jean missing. She thought she had gone to Scotland, and it took a week for him to report her missing. And in that week, Peter Sutcliffe had came back and had pulverised the body and didn't find that £5 note. Jean Bernadette Jordan, 1956, 1977, mother to Alan and James, in the arms of the angels, now at peace. That's Jean's grave.